In this video, we're going to take a look at bevel carving. Now, bevel carving is sometimes called prismatic carving, and it's just basically the opposite to what V-bit carving does. So it leaves the V-bit standing proud, okay? So it's not sunk into the material, it's actually standing up, okay? So to do this, what we're going to do is I'm going to create it over this text that I have here. So if I select the text, go to toolpaths, and then next to V-bit carving, we've got bevel carving. And you can see the icon is literally the opposite to V-bit carving. So select it. I'll just move that out of the way so you can see. Okay, so this toolpath, when you open it, can look a little bit daunting. What we need to do is, first of all, set up the material. So the material that I want to use is going to be 1 inch thick. Okay, set up your material Z0. So if your datum for your CNC is on top of the material, set this as the top. If your datum is at the wasteboard height, then set it at the bottom. Model position in material, that doesn't matter for this. This is only for 3D toolpaths. So select OK, and it will set up your material. Right, so the finish depth, that needs to be the material. So let's set that at 1 inch. And then let's select a carving tool. So the carving tool is going to be a V-bit. Okay, so let's use this 90-degree V-bit that I have. And click select. Okay, and then when you've done that, you can click center line. And it works out, basically like a V-bit carving, it works out the center line for it and where it needs to go. Now it does tell you the maximum height that this needs to be in order to get a perfect prismatic or a perfect bevel. Okay, so if I were to calculate this now, and then I were to simulate it, it wouldn't look right. Okay, so what's happening is that it's coming down. It is actually creating the bevel, but it's coming right the way down to that finished depth at 1 inch, and then creating the bevel. And you can see that it's scalloping all of this out as well. So let's bring that further up to the top. So what I need to do is set a wall height. Okay, now if I set the wall height to be, let's say 0.9, I'm not going to have a full height of the bevel. Okay, now if I try to calculate this now, it gives me an error because what it wants to do is machine the sidewall afterwards. Okay, so if I select a tool to do that, so let's select, let's say 1/4 inch end mill, and then calculate it. This is telling me that there's not enough height to create the whole bevel. Okay, so I'll just select yes, and let's reset that and see what it looks like. So you can see what's happening is that it's not giving me the full bevel. It's not coming to a point. Okay, so that's why I've got these flats on the top. Now, if I wanted to, let's delete the simulation, turn on the vectors again, and let's just turn off those. Let's select all of them, and then go back to my center line. The finished depth, let's not cut through the material. Let's make it 3/4 inch, okay? And then calculate. Now this isn't actually true, this dialog box. It's actually supposed to be telling me that the wall height is higher than the finished depth, okay? And it can't do it. So let's okay that. Let's change the wall height to be let's say 0.7, and then calculate. So this will give me that warning that it's not creating a true bevel. So I'll select yes, and then simulate that. Okay, so this is coming down to the 0.75. So that looks quite good actually. What I can do though is show you how to do this so it comes over the whole of the bevel. So you need to make sure that you've got enough height here to create a maximum bevel. So what you would do is take this distance off the 0.75. So I'll just do this roughly. So let's say I'll do this, let's say 1/2 inch of a wall height and calculate it. And then simulate that toolpath, and you can see that that's given me a perfect bevel on there. Okay. Now if I wanted to machine all of this area out, what I can do is combine this with an area clearance. So if I now were to close that, and then let's delete the simulation, turn on my vectors, take a plan view, and then let's say for instance I'd done something like this. Just toggle the visibility of that, select all of these vectors in one go, and then create an area clearance toolpath. I'll just do this quite quickly. So go down to the same finished depth, 3/4 inch, add some tools to this. So let's add a large tool, and then let's add my 1/4 inch. Now make sure that you use the same tool that you use to finish these lettering with, because otherwise you will get mismatch. Click select, and then I'm going to come down and I'm going to offset both of these and then calculate them. So what that's done is created an area clearance. Now if I wanted to move the area clearance above the bevel carving, just grab it and drag it, left mouse button, drag it above there. So if I now right click simulation control bar, and let's see what this looks like. So if I play that, this is creating just a pocket for me, just roughing out all of this material for the letters. Okay, and then this is the smaller tool, so this is the 1/4 inch end mill, just getting into those little areas. I'll just speed this up. Okay, so that's all roughed out, and then I can do my bevel carving. Now it's entirely up to you. I'll do the end mill first of all, so let's simulate that. So this is just going around the edges of these letters. So let's speed that up. Okay, so that's just gone around the edges, and then the V bit is what's going to create the angles around there. Okay, so there you can see it's created that bevel carving. Now obviously if you wanted to get, let's say, into this V here, you can see what the problem that I've got there is that the 1/4 inch tool won't get in there. So what you would need to do there is just use a smaller tool than the 1/4 inch to get in there when you're going around the edge of the lettering. So that's how you create bevel carvings.